Good YouTube, Fusion here, back in another video. Today we're ranking Assassin's Creed titles. I hate that they don't have Assassin's Creed Valhalla on here, but that would actually be a C tier game, honestly. But I played pretty much every single Assassin's Creed title. Um, this is the only one I haven't played, but Assassin's Creed, I think that's what turned me into a gamer as itself. I was always into Modern Warfare 2. I played a couple first person shooters, but I think this is what made me I guess fall in love with the great single player story. And I think that's what changed me into become a quote unquote gamer. Since then I've been trying to still chase that high of my first time playing Assassin's Creed. Like, you felt cool playing Assassin's Creed. You felt like stealth was important, and I think stealth action games are my favorite genre of games. And I don't think there's enough of that for me yet. But this is where this is what turned me into a Shadow of War fan, where you can become this stealth guy and assassinate, as well as like Dishonored. Well, one of my favorite games ever. That stealth action type of feel. It just like reminds me of the first time I played Assassin's Creed. Um, let's go ahead and get started. The first Assassin's Creed game. This really set the tone for this whole entire franchise. I actually had to go back to this one because the first one that I played was Assassin's Creed 2. But Assassin's Creed, it really set the tone for this stealth assassin, interesting story, bringing up a lot with history, the importance of following this code. I want to get an assassin, like their little symbol as a like tattoo, because I do think that this is a very important game, like, to me. But you know, I think this really set the tone. This evolved what a stealth game can be, what assassinations can be, and I think it really added a lot to gaming, which I don't think that there's a lot of games that really recognize, or a lot of movies and stories really recognize how much that this has meant to people. For example, I have seen The Leap of Fate, that whole jumping from a point and then jumping and then flipping, then landing on your back. I've seen that in other medias, and I don't think people really understand how much that how cool that is. I think more than anything, just even in my life, I have seen different buildings and structures. I mean, I'm like, in Assassin's Creed, I could climb that. I think the parkour system of Assassin's Creed is a very important parkour system because it looks smooth. But then it looks smooth. It looks cool. I feel like that's an important thing as well. I like the hood in damn near every single Assassin's Creed game. That hood is recognizable. That shit is cool as hell. You feel cool walking around with that hood on. I feel like that's a slept on aspect of Assassin's Creed that really brought into mainstream media. I could go on a tangent about it, but this is the blueprint, and I think this was a great start and a great game. Assassin's Creed 2, where I started, A plus, easily one of the best games I've ever played. From the story, from the protagonist, Assassin's Ezio Auditore de Firenze, Italy. I would. This game made me want to visit and see everything that he saw. just how cool you feel. Like this playboy type of guy, almost this Bruce Wayne, Batman-esque thing. Like the stealth, even though there's not really a quote unquote stealth mode, but you have to be the creative. The assassinations, the weapons, just everything looked clean and polished going from Assassin's Creed. And I really did enjoy the game, you know? And I think that was, again, this was my first Assassin's Creed title I played, and ever since then, I've been hooked. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. My favorite Assassin's Creed game, maybe my top 3 game of all time. This really opened up what Assassin's Creed can be. I believe that the blueprint was this. This is damn near when they perfected the Assassin's Creed title. More so played in Rome. That is where I want to visit, all because of this. Even like the multiplayer aspect of it, which I think was creative, heavily slept on, something that I believe people nowadays would want to play. It was super ahead of its time. And that like this hunt and kill aspect of it, wearing the quote unquote like disguise, hiding, using like diversions, using like the gates like to run away, that is something that I feel like is slept on and I feel like isn't appreciated. Man, just that game was amazing. And I still go back to it sometimes to this day and still play and still have fun. It like the going from Assassin's Creed 2 like to this, Ubisoft did an amazing job. Next up, Revelations. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I think that Revelations was trash. They didn't stick to what they did good. This is when Ezio was older. I think the gameplay felt a bit slow and stale. Constantinople wasn't as lively as Rome or Florence. I felt like there wasn't enough going on. Like the graphics were sort of grainy, and I think it could have been better. But I don't think it was an awful game. But there are things in there that they could have easily left out. Example, like those tower defense esque style of. Excuse me, had to get a sip. But that whole tower defense shit, that's not it, bro. Nobody wants that. They should have stuck with what worked, and eventually they went to it, but it just wasn't that great of a game in my opinion. It could have been better. It could have been more polished. I do like the story with Ezio, his quote unquote final story, as well as closing Altair's story as well from the first Assassin's Creed. He learned a lot about the Order, as well as with Desmond. That was great. Speaking of Desmond, the quote unquote real life storyline with that ending with Brotherhood was one of the best endings I've ever experienced. Even the ending of Revelations was great as well. But the overall gameplay could have been better, in my opinion. Assassin's Creed 3, solid game. I hated Connor, but everything else was cool. The setting was cool, and I didn't really mention it that much, but Ubisoft damn near picks perfect timelines as far as the Revolution, which I think was interesting, as well as the DLC. We're having George Washington be a like Dickhead. That was amazing. Also, Florence, Italy, Rome, just all of that. That's a very slept on part of it. But Connor was boring, but you felt cool messing with the tomahawk, like the rope dart, um, integrating more so the Native American aspect into it. That was fun to me. Like the horse riding, as well as this sort of introduced the like the ship part of Assassin's Creed, and I think that part of it was great as well. Man, that first part of the story, oh man, I don't want to spoil it, but that very that surprised me as well. That was a very interesting like beginning of the game, and I just think that added a whole nother layer. Like the ending with Desmond as well was great, and you know, it's a solid game. I just felt like Connor was boring as hell. Black Flag brought it back. You were a pirate. That's all that you really have to say. A pirate. This game made you feel like a pirate. Made you feel, again, like this cool ass guy. And I think that's what Assassin's Creed needs to realize. We want to feel cool. We want to put on this damn hood, put on these wrist blades, and feel like a badass. That's what they know how to do. Black Flag was another example of feeling like this cool ass dude with 2 swords, 2 guns. You can combo like your gunfire to feel like you're shooting hella people. And it's just cool as hell. And the ship combat was perfected here. Personally, I don't care for it, but it still felt smooth. It still felt cool. You still felt like an assassin in certain parts. Excellent game. Man, I'll even go back to it now and still enjoy the game. Whew, Assassin's Creed Rogue. I didn't finish this game, so I'm actually going to go ahead and put that at like the not played, but I still think it's an interesting concept of going back. Instead of being an assassin, you are a Templar agent, seeing it. I mean, well, not a Templar agent, but you defected from the Assassins Guild or Brotherhood. Then you see what could happen, or to see it from their perspective. Interesting game. I do want to finish it at some point, but I'll see, man. There's quite a bit of stuff that I need to play here, but interesting concept. Assassin's Creed Unity. It started off dog shit, lags, horrible graphics, damn near unplayable. But I played it again once it was fixed after like 2 or 3 years, and it's an enjoyable game. I like the multiplayer aspect of it was interesting. I felt like that they could have cleaned it up a bit more. Arno was okay, I guess, as a main protagonist. This was during the French Revolution. This is when they added like an actual quote unquote stealth mode, as well as going through buildings. It was a very cinematic story, but I do think it's one of the weaker ones because I don't care about Arno. And luckily, like, the gameplay carried this one, so Connor wasn't that important of a it really didn't make me as mad as Arno, but I think it's one of the weaker Assassin's Creed titles. Syndicate, God, I hated this game. You know, this was during the Industrial Revolution. Like, the twins were forgettable. Like, the combat was somewhat boring. So you played as twins. One of them was more stealth-like, and then like the other one was a brawler. It was more of a skill tree-esque game. they don't ever need to do that again. I think that the ropes where that you could like what is it called? Zip line that down and like the traversal was cool, but other than that, I felt like it was a stale game. Like they could have done more, and it could have been more enjoyable. It just wasn't that cool to me. So that one is maybe like the worst in my opinion. But that's pretty much everything from the original Assassin's Creed formula. This is when Assassin's Creed changed. And I don't know if it was a good change or a bad change. That like depends on what you like. But this almost became more of a Souls style game. And I'm gonna put this here. Assassin's Creed Origins. It became open world. It was definitely a gear type of system. It was less emphasis on stealth, more on like the better gear. Bayek, I believe his name was. He was somewhat cool like protagonist, but you damn near had powers to a certain extent, and it was a interesting flip on Assassin's Creed because there are times where it still felt like an Assassin's Creed game, but it was definitely more of a Dark Souls mixed with Assassin's Creed. Like you have like your dodge, like your counters, and like your level really like pertained on how much damage that you do. It was an interesting experience. I did enjoy the game. It is definitely better than like the rest of this shit, but you know, it was interesting. Then came Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The formula was perfected with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Origins was a warm up. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is what shows what they can do with this franchise. And I hate that Assassin's Creed Valhalla came because that is definitely a B tier game. It wasn't as good as this one, but Odyssey, this was during the Roman Empire stuff, and talk about feeling like the chosen one. This was an amazing experience. I just overall enjoyed the thousands of hours of gameplay. Like the side quests were interesting. Like the world itself was interesting. You saw damn near like the birth of an assassin. You saw what Assassin's Creed Origins built and perfected. Again, I feel like this is what birthed. This was an important change. I did not know I needed this. This was a great game, great title. It was an interesting change. One of my favorite games of all time. One of my favorite Assassin's Creed games. Damn near perfect. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about this tier list. I have Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, at an S. My favorite Assassin's Creed game, damn near the best Assassin's Creed game. Everything polished perfectly. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, one of the best of the new trilogies from Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. This showed what could be of a more action style Assassin's Creed game. Assassin's Creed 2, a great game. It really turned me on to the Assassin's Creed world as well as the stealth action world as well. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This was another great game. It would damn near be an MS if I didn't enjoy Brotherhood and Odyssey so much, but excellent game. Really cleaned up what Assassin's Creed 3 had. Showed what can be of an Assassin's Creed title. The first Assassin's Creed, solid start. solid characters, showed promise, showed what they can improve on. Assassin's Creed Origins, somewhat like the same thing, showed growth, showed what can be, showed it was a perfect start. Assassin's Creed 3, one of the weaker titles, still a solid game. Connor was boring as hell, but like the gameplay was great. Unity, that was a step back, as well as other Revelations. Those two plus Syndicate are stains, I feel like, on the Assassin's Creed titles. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not horrible games, but as far as matched up with like the rest of them, those are definitely like the weaker titles. But I still need to play these two. I will go ahead and try to do almost like a pseudo like review / like reaction to the games. I'm very interested in these two. Very, very interested. But if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.